All right, hello beautiful humans of the Foot Nerd community. Chief Nick checking in here on July 15th, and I hope you're all having a stellar day and a great week. I'm pretty excited about today's check-in because this is the first time that I've sort of talked about this concept publicly or with the nerds or even with the global community. And it's been something that's been going through my brain for a while now, and I think it's, the things I hesitate to talk about when I first think of them are typically things that scare me a little bit, that are ambitious and hard things to do, which, conceptually there's a lot of things that are great, but in actuality and to execute requires a shitload of energy. And I think the reason that I feel so good about mentioning this and the situation we're in is because this whole idea of creating decentralized projects and actually just decentralizing TFC, right? Like taking all the projects we have going and having individual leaders leading those elements and being compensated based on how that project is doing, and using TFC resources to start and do initial funding for these projects is sort of like this very appealing sort of concept that I've had going through my mind. But I think the concept I want to talk today is this idea of TFC being an open global health network. And, a network is really just a web of interconnected nodes. And in this case, nodes would be individual people. And so, the TFC network is sort of spread amongst many platforms. So, we have a community on Instagram, we have a community on Facebook, community on Mighty. We have separate communities that use our products. But as a whole, if we take everyone who is connected with, contributing to, or being affected by TFC, let's call that the network. The TFC network. And in this case, TFC doesn't even stand for the Foot Collective. I think it should stand for the future community. At least that's how I've been thinking of TFC for the past little while. Because we, although we feel that feet are really important and we should be the most badass humans on planet Earth when it comes to understanding and helping people with their feet, it's really about building a global community of people who want to reclaim responsibility for their health, who want to take back, the sovereign right of being the person who is the chief determinant of their health, not their healthcare professional, not a company that's giving them a health product. It's like they are in control of their health, or at least they want to reclaim that responsibility. So that's what TFC is. The future community is a global interconnected health network of people who want to take control of their health. And so if you're watching this, thank you for being part of that network. And one element that's really needed on that network in order to facilitate help, right? And help is just, okay, I have a skill set, someone else has a need that can be met with the skills that I have, therefore I am in a position to be able to possibly help that person. And in order for that to happen, I have to, number one, be able to connect with that person, right? Either in person, digitally, vocally, through a video, through Zoom, through a phone call, whatever it is. So I have to be able to connect with that person. Even email is a way that we can connect, although it's not a very rich one. So we have to be able to connect in person. And then we also, the second element that's needed in order for an interaction to happen where there's a value transfer of skill or guidance is a monetary value exchange, right? I need to be able to show that person that what they did for me was of value, and I do that by giving them some sort of medium of exchange, which is a unit of value that I've earned in my life for doing something good for the world. I was compensated for that with a unit of value. I can then use that unit of value to compensate other people who are helping me. So we need to be able to connect. We need to be able to execute a value transfer from the helper to the helpee. Okay, so we need those two things. Now, if we break that down even further, in order to be a helper in the realm of health, right now, our current paradigm and the current framework that we work within is that you have to go and get a degree in health or a certification in health. And that is viewed as the indicator of effectiveness. Now, nothing against people who have degrees in health. It is not, I would say that having a degree in health is not an indicator of your effectiveness as a health professional. Okay, that does not say that if you have a degree you're ineffective, but it doesn't say that but it also doesn't say that if you don't have a degree you're ineffective. Okay? And so when it comes to health, the best thing you can do in order to be in a position to help others is to seek mastery in your own health. If you are healthy and you got there, it wasn't by luck. It was through the behaviors you do throughout your whole life. And if you understand and take a deep, mindful approach to experimenting with what behaviors make you feel and just be most healthy in a most optimal state in terms of physical, mental, emotional functioning, then you clearly know some good stuff. And if you find meaning in teaching that stuff to others, I think right now we don't have a medium for people to be able to do that. And I know tons of health professionals that are getting burnt out and disenfranchised with the frameworks that they're currently working within, because they can't actually make a big difference in the people they want to help. They want to help with their health. And so this notion of creating, I've never liked certifications. I've always thought they were shitty, means of verifying ability, right? Verifying ability should really come from speaking to someone and seeing what they know, or being helped by someone and then their effectiveness speaking for itself, right? If I go see a physio that went to school and has a degree but isn't helping me at all, or I go see a strength conditioning coach who has a deep understanding of movement and they help me a ton in 1/4 the amount of time for 1/8 of the price, I don't give a shit about that physio degree. I want to be helped. I want my movement to improve. And the problem is right now we're basically guessing, right? We're trying to find the right people who know the right things. But at the end of the day, it's a bit of a guess, because a lot of these certifications don't actually have a rigorous process of determining ability, right? We get asked this all the time for a digital seminar. People say, can we have a certificate saying that we completed your digital seminar? And I've always hesitated for that, because I'm like, I can make you a certificate saying you bought the seminar, but that certificate does not imply that you watched it, that you live it, that you're working on it, that you apply it. And therefore, there's a fundamental problem, right? Like, degrees actually do solve a real important problem, which is they were designed to make it so that we don't have to guess the credibility of someone we're going to see, right? If a doctor has a medical degree, we know that someone verified that person knows what a doctor should know. And so I've always hated certifications because I've found they never really held much weight. But at the end of the day, certifications, if done the right way, and are made available and are based on a dynamic scale where the certification requirements update as our understanding collectively updates. I think there's value to that. And so this whole notion of creating a health guide certification has been something I've probably been thinking of for probably about 4 or 5 months. I've talked about it on podcasts in the past. And really it's bringing all the people who work in the health space together with a common standard, right? A global protocol, a global language of, if you have done this certification, you have achieved a certain level of competence in terms of health and being able to teach health to others, that people can go and see you knowing that you've been vetted, right? That you've done the things that put you in a position to be able to at least begin helping others. Now, getting that certification doesn't mean you're great. It means you're good enough to begin helping others. It means you know more than what most people know, and you've done that by leading by example, by in your own life making changes and keeping mindful notes of the obstacles that you faced, or the challenges that you faced, and the wins you had, and the things that work, and the experiments that gave you benefit, and the experiments that didn't give you benefit, that didn't work. And so we're going to create a health guide certification that we can plug into this beautiful global community that we've created, which is a global health network. And so, number one, we're going to create the certification with this group of people called Foot Nerds, which has essentially been the skunkworks project leading up to this health guide certification, right? Like, being a foot nerd means you're a pretty special human. It means that you aren't afraid to be different. It means that you had faith that groups of people can achieve great things when they work together. And we have 160 some foot nerds across planet Earth, and it's super special. And thank you to all the people who are watching this who are foot nerds, because you're part of the reason that we've been able to get to this point and sort of talk about this new potential project that has a massive ability to leave a positive impact on planet Earth, way beyond when we're alive. And the existing systems of education, you shouldn't have to learn health, you shouldn't have to be in 6 figures of debt and make your life decisions based on getting out of debt, not doing what you love or doing things that benefit humans. And so it's a broken system. And as a physio, I witnessed this I'm from Ottawa, Canada, and the Canadian system, you can't actually help people with their health. All you can do is diagnose and treat their symptoms. Most of your time, not most of your time, but a lot of your time is spent doing bullshit paperwork, dealing with bullshit companies who don't actually care about the people or you. And it literally fries your motivation. This is why people are burning out, I think. It's really just because they're getting bogged down by so much bullshit, they can't actually do what they intended to do by going into that career. And so the health guide certification, the way that I'm currently thinking of it is it would be, and I'd love to hear, this is just my current proposal. I would love to hear, I want to create a big discussion about this within the Foot Nerd community on Slack to hear people's thoughts. But my initial thoughts are that in 6 months of a really deep dive into your own health process, every single day for 6 months, you can become a master of health, a master of your own health, which is then sort of the initiation into beginning the journey of learning how to teach others how to take care of themselves. And so the way I look at it is it would be a 6-month program, so 26 weeks, that's the commitment. 2 hours every day, we cover all 5 pillars of health. The program really is 15% information, so that's a pretty small portion, but that's the portion you need to know in order to begin doing experiments. 65% experimentation and 20% reflection. That would be the macro breakdown of what this certification would be, right? You need a little bit of information to give you some background and fundamental first principles understanding. You need to do a shitload of mindful experimentation in your own life to figure out like what actually works and what doesn't on all 5 pillars of health, or on movement, food, sleep, the mind, or being mindful, and what community means, because that is an essential part of this. And we start with feet. Right? We're not going to dwell and spend a huge amount of time on feet, but we start at the foundation. We start with foundational principles of understanding health. We start with the foundation of our physical body. And, you know, the goal really with this health guide certification is for you to engage with your own personal health transformation and take a mindful approach to that process so that you can then prepare yourself to teach others. And so that's the prelim macro concept of this health guide certification, where someone that is certified gets essentially an approval stamp from someone who is an existing guide. So you have a mentor. There's mentorship available for people who need it. There's a fairly loose path paved for you to say, here are some resources, here's the direction you need to go, here's a bunch of things you can explore for yourself what health means for you in your life based on your experience and your reality. And you know, using community to facilitate cross-pollination of diverse perspectives. So getting people from all across the world to share their perspectives on an audio platform like a podcast. So we would have a podcast for this certification where health guides from around the world can share their research, their personal research, the research that they do by observing and collecting data on every person that they help and work with rather. And so, you know, included in this would be a global health help marketplace. So a digital, basically a town hall in cyberspace where guides can put themselves out there, tell their story, and offer their services to anyone on planet Earth that is part of this network, this global health network, which is open, anyone can join. To be a health guide, you have to do the initiation rite of passage to prove that you're in a position to be able to help others with their health. And essentially, there would be sort of like a mechanism kind of like Uber, where it's like if you're a health guide, it'll list how many people you've worked with and have some sort of rating system where people can say how amazing you are at your job. And the better you are, the more people you've helped to get positive results and the better results you've gotten in a shorter period of time for less money needing to be given to you, the better your rating is. And the better your rating is, the more you can charge for your services. And this really aligns the game theory of providing health help with the fact that you should be paid to be really good at your job. You should be compensated. I mean, the end result of being really good at helping others in an efficient way, so in few sessions, giving a massive positive impact to people through the content you create and direct people towards the one-on-one help that you give, in whatever way you decide to give your gift to the world, your gift of help and health understanding. If you're really good at your job, you can do less time of that and earn the same amount as someone who's just starting off. And so, you know, let's align compensation with skill. And that skill is not determined by you, is not determined by a degree. It is determined wholly by the people who you help. They are the ones who judge you. They are the ones who write your resume that shows to the world in this help marketplace. And so, the TFC network is getting big enough that this now probably has a viable way to happen. We have enough foot nerds. We'll see how many foot nerds want to engage with this project, and we'll continue the conversation internally in this community to build it out. We'll do podcasts to share with the world the progress that we're making and making this a reality. And, there's companies that weren't around, companies and technologies that weren't formerly around that would be required for something like this to be executed at scale to facilitate peer-to-peer value transfers. So in order for one person to pay another person without having some intermediary company making money from that or taking a portion of the value getting exchanged, that really hasn't existed until now. Now we have an open global monetary system and protocol, and companies like Strike by Jack Mallers are putting that out there to the world and creating it. And so that is now a required technology needed for this help marketplace to happen in delivering a very good experience that doesn't take away from any of the value being transferred from peer to peer now exists. And so I'm super stoked. For me, the cool thing about this is I don't want to be the boss anymore. I will not be the boss. Every foot nerd who helps make this project a reality will be will be viewed as an equal person in terms of making decisions and in terms of compensation. And how does TFC make money? The way I think of TFC making money is that we need to make enough money to pay the people who are doing the work and creating this. And we act as basically the mycelium. The mycelium is this fungi network in a forest that transfers value from one plant or tree to another. The only thing that mycelium takes out of the equation is enough resources to continue its survival, right? It does not take a bunch of resources and hide them away and store them away to build wealth, for someone to have a ton of money or for a group of people to become wealthy. It takes enough to fuel itself to be able to have a continued survival and continue doing what it's supposed to do and continue expanding, right? Continue connecting with more plants in the forest. And in our case, it would be continue expanding the TFC network so that we can affect more people in a positive way, so that we can re-empower more people to take back control of their health. And so I know this is a long one, but I put a cap at 20 minutes and I will stay under that. But I would love to hear people's thoughts on that 26-week framework, 2 hours a day, 26 weeks, the idea of foot nerds becoming the first group of health guides which are certified based on the fact that they've already done a 12-month program to take a deep dive into health. And so we start there, we work together, we make this available to the TFC network in multiple languages. We start with English, but then we go pretty quickly to Spanish. We create our own Spanish TFC community of guides who are certified in Spanish, who undergo that program in Spanish. And then even in Korean, in the Norwegian countries, whether it's Swedish or Finnish, really, we have foot nerds all over the world. We have people who might be willing to really engage with this project and bring it into reality in all parts of the world. And so I'm pretty excited. Foot nerds, I would love to hear any and all feedback. If there's enough people interested, let's do a discovery call so that I can share any and all things going on in this sometimes messy cerebrum on the concept, and hear input from everyone. And to the TFC network, stay tuned, because this will, projects like this take a lot of time to unpack, to conceptualize, to plan out. But before the end of 2021, we will have something firm set out in terms of a plan and potentially the start of the execution of this, if we have enough people interested, and if we can really, this will be very hard work, but I think this is the most meaningful project I've ever sort of entertained at TFC, mostly because it doesn't depend on me. It depends on a group of people having a shared motivation to create something that will outlast all of us. And we now have the technologies available to us to do this. And so thank you for watching. I hope you all have a wonderful week, and I will catch you on next week's Check-in. Ciao.